Hello, this is Lisa, CEO of Site for Wight, welcoming you to the last Talking News of 2021. We will be running the Talking News for the next 2 weeks, but in order to give the volunteers a break over the Christmas period, next Friday we will be playing the December newsletter, as usual, and the Friday after we will be playing the Short Story Writing Competition Awards evening, with songs from Double Take and Ben Stubbs, and extracts from the winning stories. This last week, we have unfortunately had to cancel all member events due to the COVID outbreak, which is hitting the Isle of Wight yet again. It was sad that the last week had to be dampened by this, but we have all looked back over 2021 and are extremely pleased how many members have come to us for help, support and socialisation. Thank you to every single person who has supported Site for Wight over 2021, and that includes members, volunteers, supporters, and every single one of you that just tells somebody else about our services. Wishing everybody an extremely happy Christmas and happy New Year from Lisa and the whole team at Site for Wight. Thank you.
Council confirmed changes to critical services over Christmas from Island Echo, read by Chris and Susan. The Isle of Wight Council has confirmed changes to its services over the festive period, with most operations remaining open until 16:30 on Friday the 24th of December. Christmas Day and Boxing Day falls over the weekend this year, so closure for that will carry over across Monday the 27th and Tuesday the 28th of December, bank holidays in lieu. The Council is advising that many services will reopen on Wednesday the 29th of December through to Friday the 31st of December, before closing again for New Year's Day and Monday 3rd in lieu. Services will reopen as normal from Tuesday the 4th of January 2022. For special arrangements for certain services, see the information following.
Isle of Wight Coronavirus Helpline. The Isle of Wight Coronavirus Helpline will close at 16:30 on Friday the 24th of December. It will reopen Wednesday the 29th of December, 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock, Thursday the 30th of December, 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, Friday the 31st of December, 9 o'clock to 4:30 p.m. It is then closed until 9 a.m. on Tuesday the 4th of January 2022.
Adult social care and housing needs. Offices close at 4:30 p.m. on Friday the 24th of December and reopen at 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday the 29th of December. They then close again at 4:30 on Friday the 31st of December and reopen at 8:30 on Tuesday the 4th of January 2022. Outside of these times, urgent calls should be directed to Wight Care by calling 01983 82 1105. If you are worried about a vulnerable adult, contact Wight Care on 01983 82 1105, that's 24 hours. In an emergency, call the police on 999.
Bereavement services. The opening and closing times for the bereavement service will be Christmas Eve, the 24th of December, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Christmas Day, Boxing Day, Monday the 27th and Tuesday the 28th, they will be closed. Wednesday the 29th of December, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on the 30th of December, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. New Year's Eve is 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. New Year's Day, they are closed. The crematorium grounds and Book of Remembrance can be accessed at any time, but if the gates are closed, park in the road outside and use the pedestrian gate. Office hours are as above for weekdays, except for bank holidays when the office is closed. All cremation documentation, burial forms and music should be delivered at least 3 clear office working days prior to each service, especially over this period.
Building control. Building control will continue to operate a dangerous structure out of hours service over the festive period. If there is immediate danger and a threat to life, call 999. For all other situations, call 01983 821105.
Children's Services. Offices close at 4:30 on Friday the 24th of December and reopen on Monday the 27th of December at 8:30 a.m. If you are worried about a child or young person, contact Isle of Wight's Children's Services on 0300 300 0117 24 hours. In an emergency, call 999.
Contact Centre and Help Centres. The Contact Centre closes at 4:30 on Friday the 24th of December. It will then reopen at 8:30 until 5 p.m. on Wednesday the 29th of December and Thursday the 30th of December, and 8:30 until 4:30 on Friday the 31st of December. It reopens at 8 a.m. on Tuesday the 4th of January 2022. Newport Help Centre will operate the same hours of opening as before, but open at 8:30 a.m. on Tuesday the 4th of January 2022. The Help Centre at Ryde Library will close at 4:30 on Christmas Eve and reopen at 9 a.m. on Tuesday the 4th of January 2022.
Coroner's Office. The Coroner's Office closes at 4 p.m. on Friday the 24th of December. It is open Wednesday the 29th of December to Friday the 31st of December. It reopens as normal on Tuesday the 4th of January 2022.
Council buildings or land. For emergencies involving council-owned buildings, contact Wight Care on 01983 821105.
Floating Bridge. Cowes Floating Bridge, Christmas and New Year. Hopeful operating schedule. Christmas Eve, 5:15 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. Christmas Day, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Boxing Day, 7 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. The 27th, 28th and 29th of December, 5 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. 30th of December, 6:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. New Year's Eve, 5 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. The last crossing from East Cowes will be 1:10 a.m. and the last crossing from West Cowes is 1:20 a.m. New Year's Day, 6:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. The 2nd, 3rd and 4th of January 2022 is 5 a.m. to 12:30 a.m.
Highways emergencies. Flooding, fallen trees, traffic lights not working, etc. Contact Island Roads on 01983 822 440 or visit the website. The Island Roads Hub will be closed from midnight 24th of December to 7 a.m. 27th of December, and from midnight 31st of December to 7 a.m. on 2nd of January 2022. Emergency calls received during these times will be diverted to the duty engineer and dealt with accordingly.
Libraries. Cowes Library closes at 4 p.m. on the 24th of December, reopens 10 a.m. Tuesday the 4th of January. Freshwater Library closes 4 p.m. 24th of December, reopens at 9:30 a.m. Tuesday the 4th of January. Newport Library closes 4 p.m. 24th of December, reopens 9 a.m. Tuesday the 4th of January. Ryde Library closes at 4 p.m. on the 24th of December and reopens at 9 a.m. Tuesday the 4th of January. Sandown Library closes 4 p.m. on the 24th of December and reopens at 9 a.m. Tuesday the 4th of January. Ventnor Library closes 4 p.m. on the 24th of December and reopens at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday the 4th of January.
Record Office. The Record Office at Hillside, Newport is currently open by appointment only. It will be closed from 12:30 on Friday the 24th of December. It will be open between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. on the 29th, 30th and 31st of December. It will then reopen with its usual opening hours of 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 and 1:30 to 4:30 from Wednesday the 5th of January 2022.
Recycling and waste collection. This year there will be no change or alterations to the household waste and recycling collection service. Remember to set out your wheeled bins, gold-proof sacks and food waste by 7 a.m. on the correct day of your collection, or they will not be collected. The bulky waste and free reuse collection services will also be available on weekdays as normal over the festive period. Between Monday the 20th of December and Friday the 14th of January, you can leave out extra polystyrene to the side of your black bin or black gold sack for collection, provided it is in a clear or white sacks and contains no other items. Any excess black sacks will not be collected. If you have an active garden waste subscription, you can also dispose of a real Christmas trees as part of the service. The tree should be clear of all decorations and pots and can be left to the side of your garden bin on your collection day between Monday the 3rd of January and Friday the 14th of January.
Register Office. The Register Office closes at 4 p.m. on Friday the 24th of December. A telephone appointment service only will run on Wednesday the 29th of December, Thursday the 30th of December and Friday the 31st of December from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. The office at Sea Close will open as normal on Monday the 3rd of January. To register a death between the 24th of December and 2nd of January, call 01983 82 32 33. For the out of hours emergency service, call Wight Care on 01983 82 1105.
This is Den reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Isle of Wight NHS Trust Boss, our beds at St Mary's Hospital are full up as COVID pressures mount. Exclusive. The new Chief Executive of the Isle of Wight NHS Trust is calling on islanders to look out for themselves and their loved ones by getting a booster jab, as he reveals St Mary's Hospital is almost at breaking point. In an exclusive interview with Isle of Wight Radio, Darren Cattle said that St Mary's Hospital currently has a number of patients with COVID and there are real concerns about more admissions. Mr Cattle also revealed that there are a number of patients who are seriously ill who have not had a vaccination. On Sunday, the Prime Minister announced that everyone over 18 and eligible will be offered a COVID booster by December the 31st in the battle to stop the spread of COVID and in particular the Omicron variant. Speaking in the House of Commons on Monday, Health Secretary Sajid Javid told MPs 20% of the COVID cases on Friday looked to be of the Omicron variant. No Omicron cases have yet been reported on the island. Speaking to Isle of Wight Radio, Mr Cathill said, "We are absolutely full. All our beds are full up. There are a variety of different types of patient, as you'd expect. We have a number of COVID patients and a number of other patients who are waiting for care in different settings. People we know are fed up, tired, frustrated and anxious. We really are not out of this pandemic yet, and we must keep ourselves and others safe. We have seen a number of our patients who have a serious illness and haven't had a vaccination. There is a direct correlation there. My simple message is for people to stay safe and follow the advice and guidance. Get your vaccine and get your booster, please.
Hello, this is an article read from the Island Echo by Sue. Magistrate sentenced drug driver who rolled car into a field near Ryde. A Newport man who rolled his car into a field on the outskirts of Ryde and was later found to have cocaine in his system has been handed an 18-month driving disqualification. 24-year-old Jamie Wright of Wellesley Way in Newport appeared before magistrates on Tuesday charged with drug driving. Liz Miller, prosecuting, explained to the court that emergency services were called to Stroudwood Road between Ryde and Haven Street on the 5th of June this year. It had been reported that 4 people were trapped inside a vehicle that had rolled off the road and into a field. At least 5 police units responding to the crash alongside 2 ambulances, a rapid response paramedic and 2 fire appliances. Upon the arrival of police, witnesses described seeing a hysterical woman and 2 men running off in the direction of Ryde. Wright was already being treated by paramedics and made admissions to officers that he was the driver of the crashed vehicle, a Seat people carrier. The vehicle was written off. Blood analysis later revealed that Wright had a drug reading of 168, the legal limit being 50. Defending, Oscar Vincent said the preceding 24 hours and the lead up to the crash had been difficult for his client, whose granddad had been taken unwell. Wright decided that evening to go fishing and consumed cocaine in a bid to wind down, Mr. Vincent said. Mr. Vincent continued by saying that the next day, the day of the crash, Jamie Wright went out with friends and was asked to give them a lift home, which is when the crash occurred. Mr. Vincent said his client did not consume any substances on the day of the incident itself. Magistrates handed down an 18-month disqualification and fined Wright £200, as well as ordering him to pay £85 costs and a £34 discharge, a total of £319.
This is Michael reading from On the Wight. Walk-in COVID-19 and booster jabs at Westridge. Details of where and when you can get a COVID first or second dose jab on the Isle of Wight, as well as walk-in boosters. This is a reminder that the Westridge Centre in Ryde is open for eligible people to walk in and have their first, second or booster dose of the COVID-19 vaccination. From Wednesday, every eligible adult can book their booster jab or use a walk-in or pop-up clinic as the NHS COVID-19 vaccination programme seeks to protect the nation from the new Omicron strain of the virus. Every adult is eligible for a jab 3 months after their second, following update guidance from the Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation. Here are some of the times going forward for the Westridge Centre. Saturday, the 18th of December, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m, walk-ins, all doses including boosters. Monday, the 20th of December, 12 to 8 p.m, walk-ins, all doses including boosters. Tuesday, the 21st of December, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m, first and second doses only. Wednesday, the 22nd of December, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m, first and second doses only. Thursday, the 23rd of December, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m, walk-ins, all doses including boosters.
This is Patrina reading an article from On the Wight. Brownies plant 20 new trees at Nature Zone's Wildlife Education Trust. Carisbrook brownies were welcomed to Nature Zone's Wildlife Education Trust at Blackwater during National Tree Week. They planted 20 trees to make an avenue of rowan, buddleia and birch, all trees favoured by wildlife, providing autumn berries for birds, nectar and homes for the butterflies, bees and many, many more insects. After the tree planting, it was hot chocolate all round. Project manager Angela Hewitt said, "It reminded me of our very first project 15 years ago when during National Tree Week, with the help of children from Arreton Primary School and a grant from the Tree Council, we planted our beautiful silver birch copse. Since its inception, Nature Zones has worked with over 6,000 children from 20 primary schools on outdoor nature themes." Angela adds, "In the current climate, we tick all the boxes. Outdoors, plenty of safe space, and really good for a child's mental health and well-being. When the children leave, it is smiling faces and exuberant chatter all round."
This is Den reading an article from Island Echo. Demolition of Western Gardens toilets a step closer as planning application submitted. Controversial changes for the Ryde Interchange Transport Scheme are a step closer after an application was submitted to start demolition works. The fate of the 1930s public toilet and cafe block on Western Gardens had been partially signed since the approval of the Ryde Interchange Scheme 2 months ago. As part of the transport scheme, which feeds into a wider investment to increase cross-Solent transport connectivity, the toilet and cafe block is set to be demolished and replaced with a new pier access road, involving parking and waiting bays for cars. A planning application has been submitted by the Isle of Wight Council to carry out the demolition, starting the necessary work for the £10 million Gateway scheme. The decision to remove the facilities has been met with mixed reactions. Campaigners frequently questioned why the council were going to demolish the most used toilets on the island to make way for road changes, but were unsuccessful in getting the highway scheme thrown out. Instead, the authorities said new public toilets would be installed in the Ryde Esplanade train station, along with a cafe provision, but plans are yet to be unveiled by South Western Railway for that part of the project. As a compromise, the council has said temporary toilets will be installed in the area until the new ones are built and opened. In planning documents submitted in favour of the demolition, the council say the building is of little, if any, historic value, and its removal will improve some sites of the conservation area when people come off the pier. During consultation on the scheme in the summer, Historic England said the building did not positively contribute to the conservation area. The council said an application to Historic England to have the building listed was rejected, confirming their view. To view the council's plans, 21/02431 capitals FUL, you can visit the planning register. Comments can be submitted until the 12th of January 2022.
Hello, this is an article read by Sue. Body found in the River Medina in search for missing 49-year-old man. The body of a man has been found in the River Medina in the search for missing 49-year-old Richard Chase, it has been confirmed. Police made the discovery at Newport Quay, close to the Premier Inn hotel where Mr Chase was staying, at around 20:30 on Sunday night. A cordon was established in the area as police and HM Coastguard worked to recover the body. A police rib from the mainland was drafted in to assist the recovery operation. Mr Chase was seen leaving Fever nightclub during the early hours of Saturday morning. He failed to pick up his daughter at 2 p.m. that afternoon, prompting a missing person report to be filed. Hampshire Constabulary started making inquiries and began a search in a bid to locate Mr. Chase, who is understood to have been walking back towards the Premier Inn Hotel. The search became focused on the Sea Close Park area on Sunday morning, with White SAR volunteers called in. Although formal identification is yet to take place, Hampshire Constabulary says the family of Mr. Chase have been informed of the discovery. A spokesperson for Hampshire Constabulary has tonight said, officers searching for missing 49-year-old Richard Chase have found a body. Formal identification has not yet taken place, but his family have been informed and are being supported by officers. The death is not being treated as suspicious and a file shall be prepared for the coroner.
This is Den reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Isle of Wight Council tax rise proposed for 9th year running. Council tax bills on the Isle of Wight look set to rise for the 9th year running. The local authority has launched its public budget consultation, in which it says it expects to spend around £400 million in the next financial year. In the introduction to its online survey, the council says it is proposing to increase council tax by the maximum 2% permitted by government. The Alliance administration has warned that more cuts will need to be made over the next year to keep pace with other increasing cost pressures. It estimates that even with an increase in council tax, it will need to find a further £3 million. It says this will be done through efficiency measures or cuts to services. Among the questions the survey asks is for islanders to rank the areas of social care in priority order, whether council tax should be increased by more than 2%, which would be decided by a referendum, and how remaining funds should be spent. Council leader, Councillor Laura P.C. Cox, said, insufficient government funding levels and increases in demand for care services have forced the council to make continuous savings and cuts in previous years. Up to April 2021, we have had to make cumulative savings of more than £86 million. Following those years of insufficient government funding, and with inflation currently at 4.2% and rising, we are trying to keep services running and to provide value for money. Despite substantial increases in social care costs, the government has also cut the maximum additional council tax we can levy for adult social care services from 3% to 1%. The Alliance administration realises the island cannot rely on government for any substantial financial assistance that will materially alter our current financing and has, as a result, adopted a new positive strategy focused on locally driven income generation. A range of innovative initiatives are being developed that build on natural assets of our beautiful island, capitalise on our council land and other resources, and fully utilise our professional staff and external partners. These will take time to plan and put into practice, but work is underway as they represent a real prospect of driving recovery and benefiting all islanders. Last year, under the Conservatives, council tax was increased by a near 5%. The draft budget is still being prepared and isn't expected to be completed until the new year.
This is Michael reading an article from Island Echo. Isle of Wight Tidal Power Initiative gains full approval. Planning permission for the onshore elements of the Perpetuous Tidal Energy Centre at Ventnor has been granted by the Isle of Wight Council, paving the way for the project to be fully up and running by 2026. The council on Tuesday night approved the construction of a substation within the Southern Water Services compound at Flowersbrook. It said that the approval is a huge boost to the UK's renewable energy sector, with PTEC now having all the consents in place to proceed with their proposal, England's first multi-megawatt tidal steam power generation project. By placing tidal turbines in the sea off Ventnor, the project will supply predictably renewable energy direct to the national grid. This planning approval is particularly timely given the government's announcement in November that it will support the tidal energy sector. It has committed to give £20 million per year in the next Contracts for Difference CFD round, which opened yesterday. Bob Stevens, chairman of the PTEC, said, "At a time when the world's reliance on fossil fuels is causing significant challenges, gaining permission for the onshore elements of the PTEC project is of national importance. Tidal energy is now a proven route to continuous clean energy generation and has enormous potential. The government's commitment comes at the perfect time, enabling the UK to take advantage of this source of carbon-neutral energy generation. Once we have the government support in place, we can start work, with the aim to begin operations in 2025. Throughout the planning process, we've offered multiple opportunities and avenues for stakeholders and residents to engage with us, and their feedback has helped us shape our proposal. Going forward, regular consultation and engagement will be fundamental to the construction process to make it as smooth as possible. This project has been in development since 2012. The local authority originally agreed permission for the onshore elements of the project in June 2015, and the Marine Management Organisation gave the offshore plans the go-ahead in April 2016. However, a change in government policy in 2016 put the plans temporarily on hold. One result of the delay was that the onshore planning application needed to be resubmitted. Onshore construction work is anticipated to commence in 2023 for completion by 2025. In line with the commitments made during the public consultation process, PTEC will work with local residents and businesses to ensure minimal disturbance. The PTEC project will bring economic growth to the Isle of Wight, creating an innovative new industry sector for the island and renewed attention to this part of the UK, as well as helping the Isle of Wight Council achieve the targets it has set in its recently published Mission Zero Climate and Environment Strategy 2021 to 2040.
This is Patrina reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Wootton Quarry application delayed over site access concerns. Plans to submit an application for a gravel quarry at Wootton have been delayed until the new year. Residents have raised concerns over access to the proposed site off Palmer's Farm. Island company Wight Building Materials, WBM, is seeking permission to extract material to ensure it can continue to supply materials to the local construction industry. The firm says a successful application would protect around 40 jobs at WBM, as well as reduce the need to import sea dredge construction materials from the mainland. A series of public meetings have taken place, attended by representatives from the company. One issue identified has been how lorries access and exit the site, and it is the area that Wight Building Materials is now looking at in particular. Steve Burton, Wight Building Materials General Manager, said, "We have said all along that we are keen to work closely with the community in developing this plan, and this remains the case. The issue of access is clearly a matter of concern to residents near the site, and we are looking at all options to, if possible, arrive at a plan that addresses these reservations. This process is a thorough one, and as a result we are now looking to submit our application early in the new year, probably February, rather than this month as initially planned. Proposals would see sand and gravel extracted from the Wootton site in 4 phases over around 10 years, with each phase reinstated before work begins on the next. WBM says the entire site will be returned to nature at the end of the extraction in an agreed plan that will leave behind a more biodiverse habitat than at present."
This is Den reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. East Cowes Mayor calls time on tenure after lack of enthusiasm. The Mayor of East Cowes has resigned after only 7 months in office and stepped down from the Town Council. Michael Paler said he was met with a lack of enthusiasm over projects he brought forward to the council, like the Jubilee Sustainable Garden, as a reason for his departure. The council clerk said Councillor Paler felt his commitments in other areas were increasing and was unable to give the time he feels necessary to the Town Council. He was previously on East Cowes Town Council, ECTC, before, but resigned in August last year, instead turning his efforts toward being the coordinator of the town's COVID support hub. Councillor Paler was voted in as mayor in May, following his successful election campaign to once again represent the Osborne ward. Speaking of his resignation, Councillor Paler, who was recently co-opted onto Cowes Town Council, CTC, said ECTC did not get behind his ideas and, as a result, they were getting nowhere. He said there is so much potential for East Cowes, but he has gone to CTC where he is excited to get started and help. Councillor Paler said he will still be around to help the community and continue to run the COVID support hub. A spokesperson for ECTC said of Councillor Paler, "His work with the Volunteer Support Hub and COVID vaccination programme has been phenomenal and appreciated by the whole community."
Now, this is an article from the Isle of Wight Radio read by Sue. Do better, Council told over Isle of Wight school exclusions. The Isle of Wight Council needs to do better when it comes to permanently excluding pupils from school, a senior officer has said. Figures show permanent exclusions on the island increased by 70% in the last school year. A Statistic Assistant Education Director, Brian Pope, would like to see reduced. Speaking at the Isle of Wight Council's Children's Services and Education Scrutiny Committee, Mr Pope, who works across Hampshire and the Isle of Wight in the Exclusion and Inclusion team, said, "I think when we have next term's data, it will make for interesting debate. My concern is children who end up being excluded are in some of the most vulnerable groups. Children open to social care, children who live in circumstances of relative poverty, on free school meals, children on education and healthcare plans. It is an area of real focus for the council," Mr Pope said, "and they need to do better on it. A full report considering school exclusions, trends and current figures will be brought before the committee as early as March next year for examination and debate. In the school year starting September 2020 and through to the summer in 2021, 17 pupils were permanently excluded from island schools, council figures show. It is the highest number of permanent exclusions since the 2012-13 school year, when according to government figures, 20 pupils were excluded, 18 from secondary schools. In 2019-20, only 10 pupils, 9 in secondary and 1 in primary were permanently excluded, showing a 70% increase in the following year. Schools' disciplinary powers remain in place over the course of the COVID pandemic, with both school years affected by the outbreak.
This is Den reading an article from Isle of Wight Radio. Festive traders pop up in Newport High Street. 2 shops in Newport High Street have been officially opened by Councillor Julie Jones-Evans for safe shopping with local artisans and traders. The seasonal venues, based at 33 and 64 High Street, will be open until December the 23rd for shoppers to explore a range of goods from local providers and with the majority made on the island. One pop-up shop is opposite Hong Kong Express, with the other further up the High Street in the former Edinburgh Woolen Mill building. Support for the shops has come through the Shaping Newport Partnership, a joint project of Newport and Carisbrooke Community Council, the Isle of Wight and Newport Business Association. Julie Jones-Evans, councillor for Newport Central, said, "I am delighted to see such enthusiasm from artisans and businesses coming forward to set up in Newport High Street. This is a brilliant initiative on so many levels, bringing more choice to Christmas shopping, reusing empty shops and supporting local businesses. The 2 High Street venues we've used are spacious inside, so they will allow shoppers to be socially distanced and shop safely too."
Good morning, everybody. This is Imelda.
And this is Mike. Good morning. Now we start off with the society news. The swimming group at Medina will restart on Monday the 10th of January. For more details, call the office on telephone number 522205. The cost is £5 for swimming. Transport is available if requested. Coffee and Chat will restart on Wednesday the 12th of January at Millbrook House, 10 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. That's only £1 for cake and coffee. On Thursday the 13th of January, our Mix and Mingle group will restart, and with an exciting programme for 2022 to look forward to. For more details, please call the office.
And our annual raffle was drawn on Monday. We would like to thank you for all those who supported it, and congratulations to all those who won one of our fabulous prizes. The newsletter was posted out on Friday, so you have plenty to browse over the festival season. Please share it with friends and family so that they know how Sight for Wight can help island people living with sight loss. This includes 2022 dates for your diary. The office is now closed and will reopen on Tuesday the 4th of January at 9 a.m. And we wish you a very happy Christmas and a peaceful New Year from all of us at Sight for Wight.
So now we start with the first letter, on the brink of tidal energy revolution. This is from Rear Admiral Rob Stevens, chairman of the Perpetuous Tidal Energy Centre. The government has made a strong move in support of tidal energy by committing £20 million per year to tidal stream projects. It will be ring-fencing this support as part of the contracts for difference at CFD scheme due to open this week. This move is excellent news for Perpetuous Tidal Energy Centre, which is PTEC, provided planning permission for our onshore operations is granted later this year. With this government, the support we are all set to create England's first multi-megawatt tidal stream energy generation scheme. The Perpetuous team has worked tirelessly in partnership with the European Marine Energy Centre, that's EMEC, to put everything in place. Most local people are excited about the opportunities that this tidal energy scheme will bring to the Isle of Wight, and the chance to harness a totally reliable zero-carbon source of energy. Yet, once again, various inaccurate reports are circulating among the PTEC project, led by a small group of residents. We would like to assure islanders that we have worked closely with the Council's planning department to meet strict noise limits and environmental guidelines. The views of the local residents are important to us, and as such we recently held a meeting with the residents of Flowersbrook at Ventnor Rugby Club. We attended along with key members of the project team and technical experts to address people's questions in detail. Our aim was to reassure attendees that our tidal energy scheme is fully viable as a commercial project, not a test site, and that we seek to understand and respond to their concerns. We also verbally committed our intention to repay the Council's initial investment in the scheme, which has been crucial in getting the project to this point. While it seems that there is still some reluctance to accept our positive objectives and commitments, there is no doubt that we are on the brink of a huge step forward in clean, reliable energy for the UK and beyond.
And this one is also about the tidal energy. It's by Alan Deeming of East Cowes. I have noticed with interest the ongoing series of readers' letters concerning the Perpetual Tidal Energy Centre, including latest comments about the Isle of Wight Council's withdrawal. That withdrawal may possibly be explained by the early history of the project, and in particular the original scoping report for the Solent Ocean Energy Centre, as it was then called, generated by IT Power for the Isle of Wight Council back in 2013. That report included the objective of the Solent Island Energy Centre, SOEC, is to develop a managed test/demonstration facility for tidal energy developers, suitable for the deployment of up to full-scale single units and small arrays from prototype to pre-commercial. One would reasonably assume that the Isle of Wight Council at that stage anticipated receiving revenue from the hiring out of the individual test beds to companies wishing to run trials of their equipment. It was only after several years of no communication that it was eventually learned that the intention had totally changed to being a full-blown actual commercial power generation site. Again, one can only assume the commercial aspects, not the least of which would probably be government development grants, would have changed dramatically, thus prompting the Isle of Wight Council's actions.
Young generation need to mask up. This is from J. White of Cowes. As a regular traveller on the buses, I am disappointed and frustrated to see there are still some people, mainly students and young mums, are still not wearing a mask, even though it is law at the moment to do so. When I questioned a driver about it, I was met with a shrug and "We've been told not to say anything." Surely Southern Vectis should take responsibility for this, for law-abiding passengers' safety and for that of their drivers. Come on, Southern Vectis, man up.
Britain sinking in its own filth. This is from David Morse of Shanklin. The teary resignation of a disposable pawn simply does not cut it. What the video from 10 Downing Street displayed to the whole world was not an error by an individual, but a pervasive culture that is rotten to the core at the heart of UK government. The crowd of people participating from the wings, chipping in with their sick suggestions, utterly revolts me. The nation and I am sure the watching world, where is global Britain now? Is in a sewer of its own government's making? The system needs to be fixed to prevent this putrid party ever gaining power again.
Home fit for dinosaurs is needed. Martin Simpson of Charles certainly thinks so. We need a museum worthy of our dinosaurs. In the last 25 years, a plethora of new dinosaurs unique to the island has been discovered. We now have the carnivores Neovenator, Aclineosaurus, Vectorovinator, Weenionyx, Ceratosuchops, and Riparovenator. In addition to new herbivore called Bristonius with a bulbous nose has been found. No less than 7 new genera of one generation and 3 more to come. What better time to invest in and improve upon the Dinosaur Isle Museum, either in Sandown or another building somewhere less likely to fall down, rust, sink in the mud, or be washed away by a tsunami. The current museum simply does not do these amazing fossils justice. Whether or not it should be accompanied by a homogeneous Disney-style theme park is open to debate, but an acquisition budget from any future profit would surely help to purchase additional material which may otherwise be heading off the island.
And this one is from Carl Feeney of Newport. Referring to your front page, End Our Pain, the County Press, and the 10th of December this year, regarding MP Bob Seeley's request for perpetual millions for island subsidies. No government is going to subsidise forever an island that refuses to solve the isolation problems itself, that costs its services and wider island economy so dearly. The government is waiting for the Isle of Wight Council to ask for a fixed link study, a study never before asked for. A fixed link will fix the isolation problems and therefore make the case for perpetual subsidies redundant. MP Seeley insists there is a pinpoint figure about how our public services are financially burdened by the isolation. I ask him then, how about the island hospital reliance on expensive and constantly changing agency staff, because few will settle here, or struggling hotels and businesses suffering at the hands of ferry company profiteering? How about the National Health Service patients needing to get to the mainland? Is the plan not to subsidise those too, Mr. Seeley? Just allow the council to ask for the study. What are you afraid of, Mr. Seeley?
Hans Bromwich of Cowes thinks that the local NHS is not fifth rate. Dear Editor, there has never been any suggestion our NHS is fifth rate, which was referred to in the Isle of Wight Observer December the 3rd, and it is excellent that your letter writer receives such good care. However, our NHS nationally has slipped into 5th place. This is according to the highly respected Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, which represents 38 developed counties and produces comparative data between them all. For example, the number of doctors and nurses, hospital beds, etc., per head of population.
And this one is from Sue Peacock of Knighton. The government tells us the most important thing is to get the booster jab because Omicron is far more infectious than Delta, with Omicron cases apparently now rising exponentially. The vaccine minister Nadim Zawahi says there is a national endeavour to boost as many people as possible. So why was the booster bus cancelled last weekend? Because of a little bit of inclement weather. Could Hampshire and the Isle of Wight be more inept? Whoever is responsible for cancelling the booster bus, in my opinion, needs to be on their bike.
Where's Dixon when you need him? Dear Editor, a year ago when people were calling for Metropolitan Police Commissioner Cressida Dick to go, she was given a 2-year extension to her contract. Is it now payback time? Her speedy decision not to investigate Number 10 party allegations due to no evidence seems mighty strange. It's fairly obvious there won't be any evidence if you are not prepared to look for it. Surely there is a 24/7 police presence at Number 10? Those police officers on duty will have known if there was a party going on into the early hours of the morning. Indeed, did any police officers briefly attend the cheese and wine business meeting in Allegra Stratton, referred to for a quick, cheeky snifter? Perhaps the social media accounts of those police officers on duty need to be checked. We also know government offices are bristling with CCTV surveillance cameras. Just ask Matt Hancock. What if it is subsequently proven that there was a party going on? Will the Metropolitan Police be seen as being complicit in covering it up? The reputational damage to our police in such circumstances would be immense. It would be very sad and very foolish if by the Metropolitan Police actions, or should I say deliberate inactions, the public perceived that police were in the pocket of the establishment, with their primary duty to being to protect the wrong doing of those in power. But then again, having been brought up in the era of Dixon of Dock Green, perhaps I am being romantically naive in believing our police are there to protect the public, without fear or favour. And that's Henry Fortescue's opinion from Bembridge.
And now we move on to Wight Memories. And I promised you I'm not going to burst into song, but we're talking about Jean Vincent, tragic star, played at Ryde. This is written by this article by Alan Stroud. Bee-bop-a-lula, she's my baby. They don't write song lyrics like that anymore, do they? It's one of the iconic songs of the 20th century, sung, of course, by leather-clad Jean Vincent, who also wrote it. It spent 5 months on the charts in 1956 and could have been the start of a long career, but it was not to be. Jean troubled the charts just once more that year and then became a paid-up member of the One Hit Wonders Club. He was softly spoken, very polite, always addressing his interviewers as Sir, but behind the scenes, Vincent's life had all the elements of a rock and roll legend: drink, drugs, women, a crippling leg, and tragic motor accidents. He wasn't beyond threatening people with guns, or afraid of sorting people out with his fists, and not just men. In 1969, Jean was well and truly down the dumps, and he was struggling to make money. Lucrative record contracts were a thing of the past. so touring was his only source of income. Vincent still had a small but loyal fan base of former Teddy boys. Ask your granddad. So a tour of the UK was arranged, not in the glamorous theatres he had been used to in his heyday, but in small clubs and venues. On November the 5th that year, Gene arrived in the UK for his concert tour. Times had changed, and small venues were now the order of the day, and one of his appearances would be here on the island, at the 69 Club at the Royal York Hotel in Ryde, courtesy of the island's favourite group of the day, the Cherokees, who agreed to include him in their Saturday night show. A BBC film crew were following Vincent, and for 4 days they filmed his every move for a documentary beginning with an appearance on Thames TV Tonight Show, shown only in the London area. In the dressing room, the leader of the band asked when they were going to get their money for the Ride show. Gene's agent told him, tomorrow night. You're going to pick up the whole lot after the show because Gene's going to get his money before the show. There won't be any aggro. The reader asks, we leave Gene to get our money as well, agent. We will get your bread before you go on. Vincent chips in, I hate to do it that way, Graham. Agent, we've got to. We got no money. You can't afford to do it any other way.
The next morning, Saturday, the BBC crew follow Gene down to Portsmouth, where he catches the ferry to Ryde and makes his way to the Royal York Hotel. He checks in under the gaze of the cameras. Luxury suites are not on the menu. Gene tells the receptionist that he will be sharing a room with his roadie. She books them into room 33. According to Wilf Pine, autobiography, which was entitled Google Him, as showtime approached, Gene stayed in his room, loudly refusing to appear on stage without money up front. The Cherokees were trying to escape some cash together, finally coming up with half in notes and the other half in cheque, which Gene accepted. His agent said, for Christ's sake, Wilf, go and talk some sense to him. Get him to go on stage and tell him no one's going to cheat him. Wilf entered the room to find a camera crew filming him and apparently told one of them, stop, or I'll smash your head in. Gene addresses the camera crew. Well, the procedure now is I do my show. The manager's supposed to bring me my money with the receipts and so on. I'm supposed to take the money, sign the receipts, pay the hotel bill in the morning and leave, which is not going to happen. You can make a movie just out of this. His performance goes down a storm. The crowd are very appreciative and call for an encore. Back in his room, Gene is filmed telling his agent, tell the promoter I want my money or there's going to be trouble. What's in my pocket? 9pence. To camera crew, you even had to buy the sandwiches. It's embarrassing, man, you know. 2 years later, Gene Vincent died from a combination of a ruptured ulcer, internal hemorrhage and heart failure brought on by alcohol. He was 36. In October 1971, a few days before his death, he was interviewed by now infamous Radio 1 DJ Chris Denning, Google him, who told Gene, I remember you 10 years ago playing with Hines. Google him. He was booed off the stage. He was terrible. Vincent took offence. You say he was terrible, and I say to you, that's not true. Who are you going to judge? Anybody's music? Who do you think you are? Who are you to say who is good or bad? You're no judge of music. You don't read it. You don't talk it. You don't live it. I do. Now politically, business-wise, husband-wise, I might be a no-good son of a gun. But there's one thing I can do. My music. You can't mess me up on that. Not a bad epitaph.
And now we go on to My View. And my view this week is Malcolm Mine. And here we go. Since I last wrote at the beginning of November, we have seen a number of major political happenings both locally and nationally. Nationally, the knives have been out for Boris Johnson, whose popularity seems to be waning as his handling of the COVID situation upsets both those in his own party who don't agree with the introduction of even tighter restrictions, such as vaccine passports, and the reintroduction of masks, and those on the left who want restrictions to be even harsher. I'm quite sure a number of those on the left would have us all locked up in our homes forever. I would try to have some sympathy for Johnson, who is stuck between a rock and a hard place. But it's impossible to feel sympathy for him when we hear story after story about sleaze, illegal parties and undocumented donations. Plus he still hasn't produced that island deal we were promised. Our MP Bob Seeley managed to get himself on the front page of the county press last week for actually managing to ask the Prime Minister in the House of Commons about the mythical island deal. But Johnson's response was nothing other than a brush-off. Rather than come back at the Prime Minister and demand action, our MP said nothing, but then took to social media to boast about his achievement of asking a question. Unfortunately, it looks as though Bob is turning out to be as useful a representative for the Isle of Wight as Andrew Turner was. Mr. Seeley seems very keen to portray himself as one of us, but I certainly don't feel like he represents me in any way, shape or form at this present time. I really wanted him to succeed when he was elected, and my very first article following his election asked that Islanders get behind him and give him a chance. But other than getting us a second-hand train that virtually none of us use, along with some government cash to smarten up East Cowes, which the council were mainly responsible for getting, what has Mr. Seeley actually achieved? He loves to be seen with his sleeves rolled up, looking ready to do business. But apart from shouting down housing applications, which is always a good point scorer, what business has he done? My faith in Bob Seeley will partly return if I phone he voted in the Commons on Tuesday against the introduction of vaccine passports. At the time of writing, the vote hadn't taken place, but I really hope Mr. Seeley has voted against, although as Keir Starmer and Labour offer no opposition, the passports will no doubt have been voted in anyway. Not only are such passports discriminatory, but they will ruin businesses as people decide to stay away from places rather than show their papers. These are worrying times. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one.
Give us back our Speed Cops call. This is by Lucy Morgan. With figures 2.5 times the regional average, nowhere outside London needs a roads policing unit as much as the Isle of Wight. That is the view of MP Bob Seeley and Isle of Wight Council leader Laura Peachy Wilcox. They have jointly called on Hampshire and the Isle of Wight police chiefs to address dangerous driving and to restore a unit that was reduced around 2015 and then merged in its entirety with the island's armed police unit around 4 years ago. Data from the House of Commons Library, which measures people killed or seriously injured per billion miles travelled, shows in 2020 the Isle of Wight was second only to London when it came to serious accidents. The figures show the island's serious accident rate was around 2.5 times the average of the South East. A letter to Hampshire Constabulary's Chief Constable Olivia Pinkney and Hampshire and the Isle of Wight's Police and Crime Commissioner Donna Jones cites a growing consensus that our roads are not as safe as they could be. They want a dedicated road policing unit to be based here. We feel that dangerous driving is increasingly becoming a problem, along with related issues such as illegal exhausts. We are both receiving regular emails from London residents and parish and town councils complaining about the dangerous driving of an irresponsible minority, wrote Mrs. Peachy. And Mr. Seeley, we have not had a dedicated RPU for some time. Our RPU is rolled in with the island's armed response team, which spends much of its time supporting serious operations. RPUs perform a valuable role not only in identifying dangerous driving, but also in education and cracking down on disqualified drivers. Teams travel from Hampshire to support island officers, for which the leaders said they were grateful, but they wrote it was not the same as having a dedicated island force.
Now, the next one is about IWASP, which is Isle of Wight Against Scams Partnership. And they're asking us all to help national teams bust these international scams. IWASP works closely with the National Scams team to help keep island residents safe from scams. So we would like to share with you a couple of their latest initiatives. The Scams team is currently holding a Scamnesty. The team is asking for anyone in receipt of a scam mail to send it to them for their investigators to use to disrupt these scam mails from ever entering the country. If you or someone you know is in receipt of scam mail, which could take the form of fake lotteries, inheritance scams, clairvoyant or faith-based catalogue, or health mailings, then please send it to ntsstfreemail.mailmarshals, MARSHALS. It says no stamp is required. The Scams team has also been working with Citizens Advice to launch Stop, Think, Call, a new campaign to help educate people on how to protect themselves and their WhatsApp accounts from message-based scams. Stop. Take 5 minutes to think before you respond. Think. Does the request make sense? Are they asking for money? Call. Verify that it really is your friend or family member by calling them directly. And it has some advice on reporting a scam. Call Citizens Advice Consumer Helpline on 0808 250 5050, and to report a scam, call Action Fraud, I shall go into zeros this time, 0300 123 2040. If you are concerned about somebody you care about, or for more information on scams, visit www.iwasp.org.uk.
And now we have something to look forward to. Bryston Procession. An evening of readings and carols in and around Bryston in aid of the Donkey Sanctuary takes place between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. on Monday, December the 20th. Costumed characters and the crowd will start at the Methodist Chapel and follow a donkey, with the procession ending at St Mary's Church. Refreshments are available. Santa Bus. The Santa Bus, with special guest Liera, the snow pony, will be visiting Freshwater Bay tomorrow, which is Saturday, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m, with a free present for children and a Christmas treasure hunt. The beer bus is open between noon until 10 p.m. Bay Whalers Christmas sing-along starts at 4 p.m. The Isle of Wight Pearl Christmas Tree Festival. See the beautiful Christmas trees and receive a complimentary mulled wine Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. until January the 3rd. Free entry, closed Christmas Day and Boxing Day. And finally, Seaview Carols. There will be family carols at St Peter's in Seaview on Thursday, which is December the 23rd, from 6 p.m, with a visit from Santa.
Very nice. And now we're going on to additional news items. Just a few extra things for you. And this is supposed to be the best pound rides ever spent. The Isle of Wight's Council's Cabinet last night on Thursday voted to transfer the ownership of Ryde Harbour to Ryde Town Council in exchange for a token payment, in a deal the Mayor has pledged will not cost local taxpayers an extra penny. Discussions about the future of the 150-berth harbour, a hospitality suite and 2 neighbouring plots of land have been ongoing since 2019, with the town council setting out ambitious 5-year investment plans to transform the asset into a modern marina with new pontoons, upgraded shower and toilet facilities, and a modern shoreside electricity supply. Ryde Mayor Councillor Michael Lilly was cock-a-hoop at the decision. He said, "This is a great day for Ryde. A few years ago it was planned to sell this asset to a private dredging company. We challenged that and persuaded the previous administration, and now this one, to sell it to us for a token sum. We can now take control and transform the harbour for the benefits of the town. It's the best pound Ryde's ever spent. We have a full business plan starting in spring 2022, linking this with our already successful beach leisure operation launched earlier this year, which rents out deck chairs and beach equipment. The Town Council will invest considerable funds in improving the harbour and berth facilities, and we are renaming it Ryde Marina to reflect more accurately the quality of the new facilities. Ryde Harbour has always made a profit, but for years that has been used to subsidise services elsewhere. This is now a Ryde income generation project, which will not cost Ryde taxpayers an extra penny. The Cabinet Member for Transport and Infrastructure said the move signalled a new beginning for an important town asset. Speaking after last night's meeting, Councillor Phil Jordan said, "I'm pleased we have now formally agreed the transfer of Ryde Harbour to Ryde Town Council. Tonight's decision means the harbour has a very bright future."
There's been a row over the decision making and council transparency. A row has broken out between the Alliance administration, who run the Isle of Wight Council, and the opposition Conservative group, who have just elected a new leader, Councillor Joe Robertson. During the Council's Corporate Scrutiny Committee on Wednesday evening, the Alliance Group's cabinet were accused of wasting time on making decisions on trivial items, with the Conservatives arguing that decisions on non-controversial matters should be made by single councillors as delegated decisions. Conservative councillor Chris Quirk proposed a review of the decision-making process. He claimed that the current method was an ineffective use of members and officers in dealing with issues that are not controversial or have no major financial implication. He added that some reports produced by council staff were only available shortly before meetings. The Conservative chairman of the meeting, former Conservative group leader Steve Hastings, refused to allow any cabinet members to put forward their views before the committee voted on the issue. He said, "We'll have a discussion with the cabinet about it outside of this meeting." The ruling group hit back with the spokesman saying the alliance approach was about what is in the public interest, not what is more convenient for councillors. In a statement, the group accused Conservatives of trying to save themselves the effort of having to read, consider and understand the papers. It said, "The previous administration was heavily criticised for its lack of openness and transparency, especially on scrutiny. We find it ironic they now seek to impose their heavily denounced and unsatisfactory approach on our administration. We believe our island deserves better than what has gone before."
And the next one is a little pat on the back. Retailer of the Year is unique. This is by Kate Young. Dress for Less is the worthy winner of the title of County Press Retailer of the Year 2021. We asked you to nominate your favourite shop or retailer, and there were loads of great suggestions. A short list was duly drawn up, and readers were asked to vote for their favourite business. The winner, Dress for Less, is a unique boutique in St James's Street, Newport. It's a dress agency which sells designer and upmarket ladies' clothing and accessories on a 50-50 basis, with 50% of the money going to the donor and the other 50% to independent island charity Sight for Wight, which provides information and support to visually impaired islanders, their family, friends and carers. Alternatively, donors can entirely donate clothing, shoes and handbags of excellent quality and condition, so that all the money raised from their sale goes to the island charity. The boutique has been established for a number of years and has strong following for wedding outfits and hats, evening wear and clothing and accessories for other special events. Retail manager Debbie Durbridge said, "The clothing and accessories include a wide range of top brands to suit all ages, including Ted Baker, M&S, shoes by Fly, and handbags by the likes of Radley and Kipling." She aims to have something for all sizes and budgets, and has clothing, shoes and accessories to fit a wide range of ages and tastes too. The clothing is displayed seasonably, so there are currently winter styles in the shop, and the range changes constantly as new items are always arriving. Debbie said, "The lovely thing about Dress for Less is that it works on a number of levels. It helps people to get some money for things they no longer wear, and it raises vital funds for a small island charity. It's also environmentally friendly because it's a good way of recycling good quality items which you no longer use. Young or old, we want to dress everyone." The shop is run by a team of around a dozen volunteers, and more volunteers are always welcome. Situated close to the High Street, Dress for Less is currently open 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It has a loyal customer base and many customers visit on a regular basis. Some even pop in to donate items and then pick up something different to wear at the same time. The COVID crisis has proved a nationally challenging time with lockdowns and all the restrictions it has brought. Debbie said, "Pre-COVID, we held fashion shows to help to promote Dress for Less and what we do, and they proved very successful. During the lockdown, we kept our presence going via Facebook, and we are lucky to say we have a good clientele. Once the shop was allowed to reopen, the volunteer rearranged it to ensure there was plenty of space, and initially a one-way system was in place too. The shop also has an automatic door."
Pirate turned postman meets kids in Yarmouth. A swashbuckling pirate landed on Yarmouth Harbour to receive letters from the town primary school's reception class, who were interested in the 112-foot brig, square-rigged vessel, which has been moored there recently. The Phoenix of Dalkey, which has appeared in Hollywood films, has been moored in the harbour over the last fortnight. John Plumley, the harbour's facilities coordinator, explained, "The children were really interested in the ship and all wrote letters to the pirate. The head teacher, Lizzie Granger, contacted us and asked if someone would be available to receive them. So I dressed up and met the children and took their letters on behalf of the crew. The children were really excited and enjoyed the trip to the harbour and a chat with me. They told Lizzie how much fun they'd had when they got back to school. In return, I have now written each of them a letter with an old-fashioned fountain pen and finished it off by using a letter sealing wax as a memento of their visit. The Phoenix of Dalkey will move to Southampton, where it will be placed on a larger courier ship to be transported to the Mediterranean for filming in Malta."
And now the council is to consider Dark Sky Park. The Isle of Wight Council is being encouraged to support a fresh bid which would see the island join an exclusive global family of dark sky parks. The island would soon be recognised for the great views of celestial bodies. A new application to the International Dark Skies Association, IDA, could see an area stretching between freshwater, shale and the edge of Newport designated a dark sky park. There are large areas of unpolluted night sky where on cloudless nights it is possible to see thousands of stars. A report recommending the council supports the bids due to go to Cabinet last night. Thursday, Councillor Jonathan Bacon, Cabinet Member for the Environment, said dark sky status would be a clear demonstration of the commitment as an island and accredited UNESCO biosphere to protect starry skies. Dark skies are special areas where there are low levels of light pollution. There are 64 areas around the world. And with that, I must wish you all a very happy Christmas coming up rapidly, and as we're not back until January, a very good new year. So goodbye from Imelda.
There is no scaffolding news this week. The In Touch programme follows. Citizenship, tactile art exhibition. In Touch. The Life in the UK test allows people to apply for British citizenship, and it's a test that requires substantial revision and preparation. Brian Allwood is originally from the Republic of Ireland, and he explains what happened when he initially found that the revision and preparation materials were not provided in his preferred format, Braille. When it comes to enjoying artwork, it can be dependent as much on texture as it is on visual effect. There have been many blind or partially sighted artists over the years who have used their changing eyesight to add individuality to their interpretations of art. So when we heard about a recent exhibition in London that featured the art of blind or visually impaired artists, we wanted to know what it was all about. Our reporter Fern Lulham attended the exhibition and spoke to some artists about their fascinating creations. Presenter Peter White and producer Beth Hemmings.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. Tonight,
they are massive. They're about as big as a dining room table. Quite bulbous. The texture's quite rough. Almost like the surface of a stone, I would say.
Any guesses as to what we could be talking about? Well, Fern Lulham will reveal all shortly. But first, Brian Elwood wants to apply for the test that will allow him to become a British citizen. But Brian contacted us because he hadn't been able to get the test revision materials he needs in his preferred format. In Brian's case, that's Braille, and as you'll hear in a second, it's a strong preference. You apply for the test through the Home Office, but provision of the test preparation materials have been outsourced to another organisation. Brian has been explaining the circumstances to me, why he wants to apply for citizenship.
I'm originally from the Republic of Ireland, but I've lived here in Northern Ireland for nearly 16 years. A lot of my friends and people who I know who are born here are entitled to dual nationality by virtue of the fact that they're born here. And I've always maybe had that as a long-term goal to also acquire British citizenship. I also think it would create more choices for me in terms of international travel if I had both passports. But I also have lived here and contributed here for a long time and would like to formalise that, so to speak, by applying for citizenship.
So when you initially asked for the information that you needed in Braille, what were you told?
Well, I first contacted TSO, who were the test material organisers, and they told me that they didn't provide information I was looking for in Braille. They then asked me to write a letter saying why I needed Braille access. It's quite obvious why we're looking for Braille if we're requesting it. We are people who are blind, those of us who are requesting Braille usage. I filled out the form online and it stated if you had disability requirements to fill them in. They then wrote back to me saying that they merely provided the material, i.e. the booklet and past examination papers, in audio CD and large print and so on, which is no good to me because I'm a Braille user.
Brian, you may think it's obvious, but maybe some won't. Just explain, why is it so important that you get the information in Braille? As you've just explained, you know, the Home Office said to us that you could get this information on audio CD. Why isn't that good enough? Because although, as you say, you're blind, a lot of blind people do access information by audio rather than Braille. Yeah.
That is correct, but just because something's right for one person who's blind doesn't mean it's right for another. I find it easier to study if material is actually written in front of me in Braille and if I'm not just listening to it on sound. If I'm trying to memorize stuff based on just listening to sounds of things, it uses up a lot of energy for me that could be used in other ways and on other things. And also, it should be my choice what format I use. We are not asking people with eyesight to study material that they don't have written in front of them. And I don't see why I should be expected to do something that people with eyesight would not be expected to do. After all, I'm just looking for the same access as anybody else.
Now, again, initially, the Home Office told us, and I'm quoting, learning materials supplied for the test are compliant with disability legislation and they're available in a variety of formats, including audio books. The handbook is not in Braille. Now, is it that you can test the fact that this actually does comply with disability discrimination legislation, or is it that you don't actually think the legislation itself is clear enough as regards the right to the format of your choice?
I would say both, actually, Peter. In my opinion, I'm not a lawyer. Based on my understanding of the law, it is not compliant with existing legislation. But I also think existing legislation maybe could and should be worded strongly, because a lot of the way laws are worded can be quite vague and open to various interpretations. But I would also argue that under the existing law, it is not compliant because it's not basing the decision on whether or not to provide the format on people's individual needs. It's adopting a same uniform fits all, which goes both against the letter and the principle of equality laws that exist both in Great Britain and in Northern Ireland. And I should point out that the 2010 Equality Act does not apply here in Northern Ireland, unlike the rest of the United Kingdom. In Northern Ireland, we are operating under the pre-2010 framework that existed within the United Kingdom.
Now, literally just a few hours ago, before this recorded interview, we have now been told that someone wanting the revision handbook, as they say, in Braille, can apply direct to the Home Office. What do you say to that? Have you been told that at any point?
No, absolutely not. This is the first kind of any progress at all on this issue, what you've just reported to me.
No, I suppose I should say, it says you can apply for it. I suppose they still haven't said that you'll get it, but are you now going to do that?
If the Home Office would be so kind as to forward me the information regarding how I could possibly do that, I certainly would. But it's still concerning that they're saying you can only apply for it and that there's no guarantee that you'll actually get it.
Brian Elwood. So what exactly are Brian's rights in this matter, and on what basis are you supposed to balance Brian's strong preference with what it's reasonable to ask a supplier to provide? Well, Anne McKernan is the head of the Legal Services Division at the Equality Commission for Northern Ireland. And as Brian mentioned, the laws are slightly different in Northern Ireland from the rest of the UK. Britain operates under the Equality Act 2010, and it's the Disability Discrimination Act, as Brian said, that's still relevant in Northern Ireland. So what rights does Brian actually have in Northern Ireland?
So both pieces of legislation prohibit discrimination by the Home Office and other public bodies when they're carrying out their public functions.
The key, in a way, is that word reasonable, isn't it? The Home Office told us that they offer the Life in the UK test, which is what it's called, with extra time for a visually impaired person, with a reader and a scribe, and that assistance dogs are allowed. They're pretty clever, some of these dogs. They also told us that learning materials supplied for the test are compliant with their disability legislation and available in a variety of formats. But the fact is, Brian didn't feel that these were suitable for his access needs. Would you regard a Braille version of the revision handbook as a reasonable adjustment?
Well, my own view is that the Home Office is a very large and powerful organisation with big resources. They have already demonstrated a commitment to accessibility. And so my question would be, why not? Now, reasonable is always going to be determined on, a case-by-case basis in that regard. So it's very case-specific. What I would suggest in the first instance is to making a complaint under the accessibility regulations. And as the caller is in Northern Ireland, the Equality Commission in Northern Ireland can help him to do that. And then secondly, as the caller is in Northern Ireland, he may consider enforcement under the Disability Discrimination Act, claiming discrimination by failure to make a reasonable adjustment for a disability. But how this is done in Northern Ireland is by legal proceedings in a county court. It would then be up to a judge to decide if the Home Office had made sufficient reasonable adjustments, or if a failure to provide a Braille format is unlawfully discriminatory on the grounds of disability.
And as I understand it, what the Home Office would then have to show is that it was difficult for it to do it.
It would have to be more than simply difficult to do. I mean, one of the things that they would need to look at was to say, what were there unreasonable burdens on this? Was it unreasonable to expect that the Home Office would do this? Now, it seems to me when you're looking at the sort of resources that are available to the Home Office and the needs of Braille users, then, they would have to be in a position to try and justify the stance that they have taken before a county court judge. And this test is like a 45-minute test, multiple choice questions. It ranges across history and geography and politics and culture and values and loads of things. So there's quite a lot to learn. They've suggested to him, for example, that he would be provided information in an audio format. Now, for Brian, learning visually is via Braille. And so it seems to me that he would be placing the onus on the Home Office to then explain why that couldn't be provided for him in the way in which it would be provided for a sighted person.
Anne McKernan, thank you very much indeed. Now, time for a break from high politics, I think. I've often fallen into the trap of being a bit sniffy about the idea of visually impaired people pursuing art as a major interest, and in some cases, as a profession. It's been quickly pointed out to me that plenty of art is dependent as much on texture and touch as it is on visual effect, and that in any case, there are plenty of world-renowned artists who've used their changing eyesight to add individuality to their interpretations of what they see. So when we heard of a recent COVID theme art exhibition featuring the work of blind and partially sighted artists, we sent reporter Fern Lulham along to the Oxo Tower in London to find out more. Faye Kilburn began by telling Fern about some of her pieces.
It's how disabled people perceive themselves, so things like creative, empowered, hardworking, and then another portrait has a layer of words that depicts how other people make them feel. Printmaking is all about precision, which is challenging when you've lost your vision, but I'm relying on my hearing now, my sense of touch. For me, I normally work with materials so that people can touch my work, but I've explored audio-visual so that if you can't see it, you can hear it.
And if you're wondering how being able to hear art might work, here's a clip from a video piece Faye produced about the pandemic.
Shattered, different, loner, indefinite social responsibility, planning, imminent frustration, unity, realisation, family, lost time, new beginnings.
Now, any guesses on what I found next based on this description?
They are massive. They're about as big as a dining room table. Quite bulbous. The texture's quite rough. Almost like the surface of a stone, I would say. Not going to press too hard on it because apparently it's suspended in the air and I don't want to knock it over, but it's really tactile.
Yep, you got it. A pair of giant pears sat in the middle of the gallery. These were sculptures by David Johnson, and he talked me through what they represent for him and his on-off relationship with art.
I went to art school for a year and then I stopped because my sight was really going quickly then. And I really came back to art after I'd gone totally blind in my 30s. So total blindness actually brought me back to visual art. My piece is a couple of giant pears and they're just not touching, I hope, unless they've moved on the gallery floor. The idea is with blindness, if you're not touching something, it only has to be not touching by a millimetre, and it's as if you're 1,000 miles away from the object. And they were made by taking a real pear, which I've got a 3D print of it in my hand now. Can I give you that?
Yeah.
That was a real pear, and we scanned it and 3D printed it. And then we blew up the digital data 1,000 times to produce these two enormous pears.
What was it about the pears that made you want to use those?
That English phrase, it's all gone pear-shaped, which we could apply to COVID. The idea that it's something going wrong. There's nothing wrong with the shape of pears, as I'm sure you'll agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got this one in my hand that you've given me, and it's very nice to feel.
Fat at the bottom, thin at the top.
In another corner of the gallery, I was trying to figure out what else I'd got my hands on.
It has two arms. It has a long body. It's quite nice to feel, actually, because it's smooth but satisfyingly springy underneath my fingers.
Luckily for me, this wasn't a real person, but instead a wire sculpture hand-woven by Lynn Cox.
It started being a self-portrait. I've used a bit of artistic licence because it's got lovely cheekbones and I haven't.
I'm sure you have, Lynn.
Yeah, I start with a piece of anything from 10 metres to 50 metres copper wire, and I'm just pulling it through, twisting it around. I like the copper because the person feeling it can move it a bit and they can change it. So for me, it's all to do with appreciating artwork on more than one sense. You can touch them, maybe you can smell them. I draw with chocolate, so obviously you're not advised to taste them, but they've got a distinct smell.
I was distracted from my daydream of edible exhibits by someone who stood out in the crowd. A man wearing an eye-catching suit with large dots covering it. These matched his artwork, which was all covered in braille dots of many different colours.
I'm now up against the braille picture. It's rough on the surface. It almost feels like there's sand on the surface and stickers. And this is all different colours, different coloured dots on a light blue background.
Feeling an unmistakable twang of fashion envy, I couldn't resist getting Clark Reynolds to tell me more about his work and, just as importantly, his suit.
It's a bright yellow suit, and on it is dots in various sizes that can be touched, and it's all braille. So literally I am a walking art piece. I discovered braille a couple of years ago, and it was like, why is this not an art form? It's beautiful when you blow that dot up, and the dot becomes a frame in itself, so I can hold so much information. But the idea is, it makes people approachable and ask about braille and talk about sight loss. We can't talk about the positives out of sight loss. It's always about the negative. Art has helped me with my sight loss, and I hope one day I can coexist with mainstream art. That is the goal for me.
Do you think being blind has any advantages over being a sighted artist?
Yes, I don't have to worry about competition. I've got more freedom. It takes all the hard work out of it.
In terms of composure, do you just do it all by feel or by touch?
Yeah, and then I paint everything twice, just in case I missed it. And I get things that, I like the length of that, I'll use that as a guide, and simple things like that. Use household items.
Feeling inspired, I asked the experts to share some advice for any aspiring visually impaired artists.
Everyone's perspective is unique. Don't create what you think you should create. Create your own unique perspective.
Just play, really, and just enjoy. You'll probably be surprised at how much you do get out of it.
Visually impaired artists perceive the word differently, and I think that's our great strength. Monet was visually impaired in his later years, Matisse. That didn't stop them being visionary artists. It just altered what they did and how they did it.
Have fun. I think that's key. You've got to have fun. Don't get stressed. Oh my God, I can't see what I'm doing. Explore that. Explore the craziness that is blindness, you know. Art has given me the reason never to grow up.
Lastly, I located David and his assistant Jan because I just couldn't leave without doing one more thing.
I'll give you your pair back. Oh,
Cheers,
there
I'll
it is.
put that back in my pocket.
And it sounds like you and Jan make a great pair. Is that too cheesy?
Well, if terrible puns are a form of art, I might just be onto something. Otherwise, it's back to the drawing board for me.
Fern Lulham with a fascinating quartet of visually impaired artists. And that's it for today. Let's have your comments, questions, stories emailed to intouch@bbc.co.uk. You can leave your voicemails on 0161 836 1338 or go to our website bbc.co.uk/intouch, where you can also download tonight's and previous editions of the programme. Do join us next week for a bit of an In Touch Christmas bash, all socially distanced, of course. You can join in by telling us about the most inappropriate Christmas present you've received as a blind or partially sighted person. I nominate a mirror, which I was given once. From me, Peter Wight, producer Beth Hemmings and studio managers Carwyn Griffith and John Cole. Goodbye.